Welcome to the European Ham Radio Show, and our special guest down here are all of us have a favorite POTA hunter, and that's Jürgen down here. Welcome, Jürgen.
Thank you so much. Welcome. Thanks.
And besides that, Kjetil is in Hungary, and Walt is not here.
Camping, maybe.
Yeah, I think he's out. He's out camping, and I think that is a lot more exciting than being on this show.
And using unfair tricks to boost his pile up.
Yeah, I haven't seen the video yet, but I saw that he used his wife to.
I saw the video, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen the video. I saw the picture on Facebook yesterday, I think. So. Yeah, that is something we all have considered at some point. I've actually considered letting my daughter do the voice gear of my 7300.
Good idea.
That's an interesting idea. I should consider that. There's also helium as a yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna
Don't worry, there will be an AI feature in the next Black software update that can choose your favorite female voice for calling CQ.
Could be built in the radios.
Yeah, and with a Flex that should be possible. Don't even mention the question beneath my name here. Besides that, we're going to talk about how to get your American license as a non-US citizen today, which might be nice for people that are not Americans. So that should amount to about 40% of our viewers then.
Yeah.
But first out, the ham radio moment of the week. Tobias, what's your ham radio moment of the week?
That is ridiculously short. I did no ham radio whatsoever this week. I just catched up on chores, and I had a private expedition in a car yesterday, which was probably the worst day for a road trip that you could possibly pick, but I survived. It was a nice event, but unfortunately no ham radio. The others have to fill in. I'm sure Bob did like 5 million activations to pick up from shortfall.
According to my ham alert, he probably has. Jürgen, how has your ham radio week been?
Yeah, as I was on holidays or on vacation, I did a lot of things, or I tried to do a lot of things. First of all, maybe you saw the video from last Sunday. I had this crazy idea, lifting my J-port antenna with my DJI drone. That was, between the idea and to do the activation, this was 2 hours period or something like that. And that was totally crazy. It was fantastic. So this was absolutely unprepared.
But what an amazing idea, though. I admire the idea, and I don't actually think that would be legal in Norway, but it's an idea I have considered at several points of my ham career.
Yeah, I got some comments on Facebook about flying the drone in a park, and of course you have to make sure you are following in the rules there. In this particular park, that's a protected area, and the protection is for the grass and for the flowers. So there is no wildlife, there's no bird life, nothing. So it's not a problem to fly the drone there. But of course, you always should follow the rules. Do not fly your drone without asking. That's not a good idea.
No, it's not. And always check up on your local drone regulations because they vary around the world.
That's true. That's true. Second thing, the answer to your video, Morten. I used my Signalink USB interface with my IC7000, and it seems the IC7000. It's an old radio, but I think it will be my new preferred POTA radio or SOTA radio because it's fantastic. I compared it to my FT891, and hey, this thing is old but still great. It's fantastic. The audio is so clear and so crisp. I cannot tell. It sounds so difficult than the 891. Both radios are good, no way. But in my ears, the IC7000 sounds better. So this is my new old favorite radio for activations.
And then if you should get bored, you can also watch analog TV on the 7000. So
yeah, I'm not sure if is it PART or NTSC. I think it's NTSC.
I actually don't know. I've never owned that radio. I've tried it once, but as a 706 owner, I can certainly recommend those old DICOMs for portable activities. They're relatively lightweight and they're easy to use and sound good.
That's true, yeah. Then I did the alignment of my 8570 again the day before yesterday, because it was a bit off frequency after all these years. Forgot to buy the temperature compensated oscillator back then when I bought the radio, and the original oscillator is no longer on sale, and you can buy some cheap oscillators from China, but as I heard, they are producing a lot of noise in the receiver. So, yeah.
I can tell you that they do. I use that on my 817, and I replaced it back to the original oscillator instead.
I had the 817 about 10, 12 years ago. But I sold this radio and I had the oscillator in this one. But unfortunately, I sold it with the radio. Yeah, and what else? Yeah, then in between, in all my craziness, while waiting for DaVinci Resolve to render a video, I did this Parks on the Air song in Italo disco style. It's so crazy. It's a lot of fun. I think you did the same, Morten. I let ChatGPT generate the chorus, and I let Suno.com create the song. So that's...
Yeah, it seems to be the latest amateur radio craze in videos, but it works. I got another video coming out with another song, specially written by ChatGPT for the purpose. Bob, what's your ham radio moment of the week?
First, I'll do a few comments first, because I did replace the temperature-controlled oscillator for the FT857 with one I got from China for very little money, and that worked fine. So I guess it's a coin toss. You can get a good one or you can get a bad one. I haven't had any problems with mine. Didn't cure the problem with not being exactly on frequency, especially on UHF, but I'm guessing I have to watch your video now to see how to align it. So I'm looking forward to that.
Mine was off frequency on HF, so...
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, it's not that bad. And both
150 hertz or so below the displayed frequency, not bad at all. You can compensate it by turning the dial. If you know it, it's okay, but yeah. It's a simple solution, and yeah. So I did it back a year ago, one time, just with my headphones and listening to myself, and then I gave the headphones to my wife and said, "Hey, listen to me. Is this my voice?" And she said, "Yeah, that's okay." But now I did the alignment with the signal generator and the SDR.
Yep. Sounds good. I'm looking forward to watching that video, because there's work.
I guess I was lucky with my TS50. I also bought the Chinese TO for that one, but when I decided for one, I bought one that was already in a metal can, so at least it's shielded. So maybe that reduces noise it introduces to radio. But yeah, the TS50. I mean, it's a radio from the 80s, and you really feel it that it's not so sharp for, rejecting somebody on a neighbor channel. Yeah, so if you have somebody kilohertz up or 3 kilohertz up, with a very strong signal, it comes through. So that's the only con side of the S50.
Yeah. So the one I got was also contained in metal. So if it's a temperature controlled thing, then there's a tiny oven in there, I suppose, to keep it at the correct temperature. So it needs some isolation. Yeah, the other comments I have is you said, Morten, it might not be legal to tow the antenna on a drone in Norway. I think that the rule for normal drone pilots is that you can't have a payload, but you're not having a payload. You're just tethering the drone.
It's added security, actually, right?
Yeah, that has to be legal, I think.
Since
wired remote control, not wireless.
Yeah, and it's tethering to make sure it doesn't fly away and hit people. So you're doing this for safety. Of course, it's legal.
Since we don't have our in-house Norwegian drone pilot on the show tonight, we're not going to speculate in the legalities of it in Norway.
I'm going to speculate, but yeah, let's ask Kjetil next week. But I've been wanting. I don't have a drone. I don't know why I don't have a drone, but I've been wanting to try that on a quarter wave 160 meters antenna. That would be a cool project. I think.
Well, I built a drone when there were no commercial drones available. You know, but doing it, you got a Arduino Nano, I think, and one of these Nintendo Wii controllers. So I bought a brand new Nintendo Wii controller and ripped it apart to get the accelerometer out. And you could build your own drone and fly it. But that was before, you know, all the commercial ones showed up and they tightened the regulations, and now you need a license and whatever, insurance just in case something stupid happens, etc., etc. So I'm not really into drones at the moment because, yeah, probably another bureaucratic nightmare in Germany as usual.
I have my 249-gram drone, which was pretty much useless. Well, I crashed it, so that's the first reason why it's useless. But the other reason is because they removed that part of the legislation, so it doesn't help at all for it being lightweight. But your ham radio moment, Bob.
The ham radio moment, that was surviving the lightning storms around me on Lima Alpha Tango Mike 039. I've been walking just these short little mountains since I got back from Germany, and I wanted to do a proper walk. So I found this mountain is 1,180 meters above sea level yesterday. So I went to the summit there, and I had a plan because I was looking at the weather forecast. There was going to be rain and there was going to be lightning, and I was going to be quick. But it turns out I'm not really in that great of a shape. So I spent 2.5 hours climbing up that mountains, and by the time I was on the summit, the lightning was there. So I looked at the log this morning, and I think I activated for a grand total of 4 minutes before I packed the antenna down, and I practically ran down the mountain and I'm still alive, so I'm happy about that. That was a fun activation, excellent trip up there. Didn't get too much rain, but kind of scary with the lightning going on around me. So I guess that's my ham radio moment, being alive.
I'm not going to say
I remember
that.
what I spent my ham radio time on. That was on Friday, and I had a defect router on my desk, and basically since a year, just bought a new one. You know, in Germany, everybody is having the Fritzbox wireless LAN internet routers, and one that I had died, or the 2.4 gigahertz front end had died. I was finally having time to inspect it and figure out if I could fix it or not. Lots of posts on the internet that say the voltage regulator just goes bad after a few years and burns through, but mine was fine, so it was really the front end. So yeah, that was like 3 or 4 hours investigation spent on that, and now it's on its way to recycling. Thought, you know, cut your losses. I already have a new one, but yeah, it would have been nice to repair that thing. Yeah, it's a shame. Yeah, because I think only the front end amplifier.
And it's such a ham thing to repair.
Exactly.
Like
yeah, but you don't. I mean, you know, there's only one thing wrong with it, so you want to basically fix it instead of just dumping it. It didn't work out.
Do you, in fact, know there's just one thing wrong with it? Because normally when I try to fix things, it turns out there's at least two.
I'm pretty sure, because when you're very close to the router, you could pick up the 2.4 gigahertz signal, and like 20, 30 centimeters away, it was gone. Yes.
Ah, all right.
Front end amplifiers, but of course there are nondescript marking OEM bought bulk from somebody in China, so you don't know what part it is. Unfortunately, I have to give up on that one.
Yeah, but that's actually radio related then, because that's the 2.4
That is
Yeah,
Actually,
actually, yeah, it was.
uh,
It's transmitting, right? So it was ham
Yeah.
radio related.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So Morten, your week.
Let's see. My ham radio week hasn't really been a lot of ham radio this week. There's been a lot of projects that just didn't pan through, such as getting my mobile link to work with anything, getting my Digirig to work with APRS and WinLink, and those projects took up a lot of yesterday and did not pan out. But I went in a POTA activation today. Had to resolve to a plan B because it was humid, it was raining, and it was steep where I was. So I ended up going to another park instead, activating because the weather was not cooperating. There's actually a video coming about that. I've been struggling a little bit to get inspiration on what kind of videos to make on YouTube lately. But I managed to get a video through now, so that's at least a little bit better. Besides that, since I wasn't on last week, I managed to get FT8 running on an Android tablet. I think half of the internet has seen that video. And then I managed to get FT8 semi-working on an iPhone. I cannot recommend that by any means. I know you tried your video, Jürgen, with a signal link. I tried with Vox. I did not have good results, but I believe running QRP on dead bands could also be contributing to that factor. It wasn't as painless and smooth as running it on an Android tablet with cat control. But I managed to get those things done. Strangely enough, my Android tablet video performed really well. My iPhone video did not. So I guess Android is more popular than iOS.
No. I did the short, and you're doing it wrong. If you're going to do FT8 on the on an iPhone, you need a 705 and that app for the SDR radio control app. That is just bloody amazing. That connects to the radio over Wi-Fi. So there's absolutely no cables. You flip the phone out of your pocket and you start doing FT8. So that's what. But
as regarding this little title down here, I don't think I can afford 705 in a long while.
We can trade. When you get the Flex, you can send me the Flex, and I'll send you the 705, so you can get some experience with the difference. I would do that for you. I need to tell you, I made a video this week. And
yes, you did.
Some really strange thing happened. Turns out you can make videos that are wider than they are tall.
And actually longer than a minute.
Yeah, that too. That was fun. So I created I just basically what I did. I just pushed record on the camera over my desk when I created this small little QRP balun, and that was fun. I spent probably more time creating the balun than I did editing the video. And I think I'm gonna try to do that some more because I don't have the patience to spend hours on hours to editing videos, but just filming a project like that and releasing it, that was fun.
I'm gonna give you a little pro tip there. If you plan your video ahead when you film, you don't really spend hours and hours to the end editing.
I did plan the video ahead.
Yeah,
I was planning on sitting down and creating a balun, and that's what I did.
But if you use
why I like kit build videos, you have the kit, you know what's gonna happen, sort of. And the entertaining bit is when it goes wrong. When you have smoke and mishaps and capacitors disappearing, then it gets entertaining.
Nonetheless, we are starting to drift off topic, and since we have a guest,
we have a topic.
We probably should not do that. And we can return to off-topic things if we should run out of our regular topic. We could do the YouTube channel of the week, but I guess that's your channel, Jürgen. We've featured that before, Alpine Radio Waves. So if you're not subscribed to your channel, please go ahead and do that, and I'll try to find it here and put a link in the chat.
Morten, I cannot hear you at the moment.
Anyone else hear me?
I can hear you.
You can hear me. Okay. Can you hear anyone, Jürgen?
Morten, I cannot hear you at the
moment. Can you hear?
Now it's okay again. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna find your channel here, Jürgen. It's also linked in the description. Should you want to subscribe, and you definitely should. Let's try to find it here though on YouTube.
I think I have it.
You have it? Okay. You
Yeah,
put it in the chat then.
Let's see.
And Stuart comments that we need our own TCXO because we're drifting a little bit off.
Now, where would the fun be in that?
So go ahead, subscribe to Jürgen's channel. And we brought you on for a reason, though, because you have 2 call signs.
That's true. Yeah, I had this crazy idea 10 years ago in January 2014. I was in bed already, and it was late at night, and I read an article in our local magazine from the Austrian Society, written by, I did some notes here, written by, who was it? Oscar Echo 6 Papa Juliet Delta Joachim, who made the exam. And I thought, hey, that's a good idea. Let's do it. And it was after midnight, and I jumped out of bed, started the computer again, and ordered these books from the DARC Verlag from DRAC in Germany. This is the general license. So these are the old books. I'm sorry. Oops. Here we go. This is technician. This is general, and here's the extra class book. And yeah, this was in mid to late January of 2014. And then I started to learn, and the exam was on, I have the date here, because here's my certificate of successful completion of examination. The exam was on March the 9th, 2014, and I did it in Munich. So round about 1.5 months, let's say, to study these 3 books. And then I spent my wife and I spent a night in Munich. There was the Amateurradio-Tagung in Munich. And I did the exam. I did all in one. So I started with technician. Then they asked me, okay, you are passed. Do you want to continue with general class? I said, yes, let's do it. And then I passed also the extra class exam. And yeah, reasons why I did it. For me, it was fun to learn all the stuff again in a foreign language. This was one of the main reasons. I wanted to challenge myself, let's say, can I do this in English? And I did. And now I'm very proud of having this license. My call sign is Alpha Hotel 6 Uniform November, AH6UN, which is a Hawaiian call sign. And now you may ask, why a Hawaiian call sign? And that's the reason is we have a very special relationship with Hawaii. First of all, back then my wife was my girlfriend. And this was our first great holiday together. We spent 3 weeks on Hawaii back in 2009. And I made the marriage proposal during sunset on top of Mauna Kea. So that's the background story.
And
And
just a question though, because you need a U.S. license or a U.S. address for an American license. Does that
yeah,
mean that you have a Hawaiian address that your license is registered to?
this was pure luck, let's say. The aunt of a good friend of mine, she had a condo in Kona on the Big Island, and I asked her if she can give me her address. I said I need an Hawaiian address to get the license. I have the license, I can use any other address anyway. And she said, yes, no problem, you can do it. And 2 years or 3 years later, she left Kona and she's now in Los Angeles, in the bigger Los Angeles area. And yeah, I had to change the address to a mail forwarder. So this is always something you can do. Choose any mail forwarder to get a virtual US address. I think these days you can also use a PO box. I'm not really sure. Maybe the viewers can comment this. I'm not really sure.
I actually think you can use a PO box for that.
Yeah, I think so.
And if you know
But
anyone
I'm
in the
not really
United,
sure.
if you know anyone in the United States, that should not be the hard part. And you did, I mean, you did a physical exam in Germany.
That's true. These virtual exams, they didn't exist back then. in
No,
2002.
but is that something that, do you know if that's offered anymore, or do you need to do a virtual exam now?
Absolutely. If you go to the ARRL website, I have prepared it here. You can.
If you just hit the % button down below, you can share the webpage.
I guess they'll do another examination during ham radio in Friedrichshafen.
I passed it in the chat.
You cannot post web address in the chats, but if you put it in the private chat here, we can post it for you. The YouTube filters only lets me and Bob post, I think, or perhaps you, Tobias. Let's see here.
I'll copy it in.
You copy it in, and I'll open the web page here.
Yeah, please do it. What's the shortcut for showing the page?
If you hit present on the bottom of the screen and then share screen.
Okay.
But I got it up here. So and
search for by zip code. You can search by country. Look for Germany. I think there's an exam at the ham radio in Friedrichshafen, end of June.
So I guess some of our viewers need to start studying then.
Yeah, here we go.
Let's see here. Yeah, Friedrichshafen. There is actually there are some examinations here actually. And then if you want,
we also did some in Austria, but the last one, I think it was last year, we did the last exam in Austria. Just for fun, I looked up on Norway, but I haven't found no exam.
I am searching now and see if anything pops up here.
I think they used to be on the Norwegian ham meeting.
Yeah. But you could also do a virtual exam now, as far as I've understood.
Yeah, you need a webcam.
I have also thought about that. I've been doing the Ham Study app on my phone for a while here, not because I need a US Callsign, but because it's just something to do, and it's an accomplishment to do it.
That's true. There was absolutely no need for me to do it, but I thought, hey, it's fun, and I can learn something, and I can learn a little bit more technical English, and that's one of the main reasons I did it. And of course, you learn, or you will understand the US amateur radio licensing system, or the amateur radio system, better after the exam. What's another reason? Yeah, if you stay longer in the States than 3 months, it's good, because the guest license, or the the agreement between Europe, the CEPT agreement, I think it just allows you to stay 3 months or operate 3 months in the States.
Well, as a European citizen, you can only, or a Schengen citizen, you can only stay for
another reason
90 days
is,
without a
yeah,
visa.
if you need
Go ahead, Jürgen.
yeah, sorry, there was a dropout again. Another reason is if you need a guest license in countries like Japan or I think some South American countries, they have an agreement with the United States, so it's much easier to operate from there if you have a US license.
That is, I've never thought of that, but that is actually interesting. But I've seen you do POTAs with your American license.
That's a gray zone, let's say.
I would guess you can probably not do that in Austria, but you should be able to do that in another country, though, shouldn't you?
Some of the guys told me I am allowed to do if I'm outside of Austria. Other told me I'm only allowed if I'm a US citizen. So, yeah. But no judge called me, so and I do not feel guilty. I did several operations from Hungary and from Slovenia and from Croatia with my US call sign. Yeah.
Do you feel that the pileups are bigger if you use an American call sign?
Yeah, a little bit bigger, yeah. But all these guys, the usual suspects, they know me and they know it's me, and yeah.
So, but still, though, I think I hunted you at some point, or you hunted me with your American call sign at some point, and it took me a little while to figure out that it was you.
Yeah, but for example, Jose, Echo Alpha Uno Bravo United Lima, my special friend, whether I use my Austrian or my US call sign, he always shouts, "Are you again?" Hi, Jose. How are you doing? Yeah, it's always the same. And yeah, one of the reasons why you may need a license if you want to use remotehamradio.com.
Yes.
You have to.
Yeah, you need a US license for that now, don't you?
That's true, yeah. It's written in their frequently asked questions somewhere. I'm not sure, but where's the link? I don't have it here at the moment. But yeah, you need a US license if you want to use their system.
Yeah, but then again, using remote ham radio is a way of doing radio that probably gets expensive real fast.
I've tried this for 1 year, and as I had to pay additionally for, yeah, I just saw the comment from 45 Auto. I tried this 1 year. You have to pay the yearly amount, the fee for 1 year, and then you have to pay per minute. And that depending on the capability of the station, it's getting really, really expensive sometimes.
Yeah, I've looked into it, and it looks expensive. But then again, you get the opportunity to operate on a US soil and get a whole different amount of DX than you would at home.
Yeah. It's fun, but since they have no more station on Hawaii, I don't use it anymore. So
yeah,
there was one station in I think it was north of Honolulu, and I've used this station a lot, and it was a lot of fun, especially working Europeans sitting at home in Austria and working Europeans from the remote station in Honolulu. That was a lot of
fun. How is that? Just to talk about radio related, directly radio propagation related things. How is that working Europe from Hawaii? I don't think I've made a single contact into Hawaii. Maybe some FT8, but nothing on sideband. How is that?
It's better in fall and in winter, and you have to keep an eye on the gray line. Then it's working.
Mm-hmm.
You have 1 hour 1 hour where you can work Europeans, and then the propagation is gone.
But
That
did you
was
ever
my
work?
personal experience.
Did you ever work in Northern Europe, like one of the Scandinavian countries, Norway, Sweden, Denmark?
Sure.
Yeah.
Propagation is moving from north to south or from south to north, and after an hour it's over. Maybe 1.5 hours. So that's my personal experience using this station.
Yeah, I had one Hawaii contact on a POTA a couple of months back, and on 70 meter on a ham stick and 100 watts. And when I heard the Whiskey Hotel 6, I almost jumped out of my seat. He was 5'9", and then when the Greyland passed, the propagation was gone. So I think the window for working Hawaii from Europe, at least Northern Europe, is really, really narrow. It's just one of those lucky chances where propagation is there.
Yeah, I'll have to try and come fall or winter time. I'll see what I can do. But good advice there. Trying to follow the gray line.
And our favorite DXer here is Stuart, comments that in Northern Europe for Hawaii to work them in the mornings, you have to wait until the Southern Europeans have gone further into daylight and lost it.
Yeah, that's true.
And by Southern Europeans, I'm kind of assuming that it talks to the country to your south there, Jürgen.
Yeah. Italians and the Spanish and the southern French people, they always have an advantage.
Yeah,
I hear them still talking to the US and talking to the Pacific, and I do not hear anything anymore. So,
and you got a pretty good setup at home, don't you, Jürgen?
yeah, I have this FTTX 5000, which is also about over 10 years old now, but it's still in good shape, still good working. And because of should I get a Flex, I was so close buying a Flex radio. Only thing I needed was to hit pay, but then I thought, okay, why should I get a Flex? Yeah.
Is there a pill you can take or a course you can take to learn how to ask yourself that question?
But I wouldn't go back, because you don't use a wire antenna when you work DX, do you, Jürgen? You have a beam.
No, I have a 3-element ultra beam.
Yep.
3-element ultra beam, FTTX 5000. I have an old FT 1000 MP here next to it, which is just for viewing it. It's in a fantastic shape. And I have this Yaesu Quadra amplifier, the VP 1000 VL 1000, 1.2, 1.3 kilowatt-ish. So, and that's enough. So
what's the legal limit in Austria for power?
A kilowatt.
A kilowatt, yeah.
Kilowatt. A long time, the legal limit was 400 watts. And I did the mistake in the past running a kilowatt and telling the other party that I'm running a kilowatt. And the radio control in Vienna listened to that. And of course, they had to call me. And she told me, hey, if you're doing it, then don't tell it that you were doing it.
Yeah, bist du deppert.
And since then, if someone asked me, what's your power, I always said legal limit.
I think it's a lot more honest to err in that way and say you're running a kilowatt when you're only allowed to run 400. I've listened to Italian stations coming in at 60 dBs over 9 in Norway, and 1 kilowatt.
I even have those on POTA that have the suffix QRP coming in at 60 dBs over.
Yeah, Morten, I call you, I always 9+ something. So I think we're in the perfect skip distance. And it's the same with the Italian, I guess. Yeah, so if they're in a perfect distance.
Yeah, from me to let's say Central Europe and Northern Italy, it's about 1 skip on 20. which
Yeah.
makes it a pretty ideal distance to get.
I think that also has to do with the rig, and I think your rig, Jürgen, is pretty well functioning. For those of us that does summits on the air, we have Foxtrot 4 Whiskey Bravo November, and I worked him from Norway, from Denmark, from north in Germany, south in Germany, from Sardinia, and from France, and he's always 5'9". So I think that has to do with a pretty well set up rig as well.
It has to do with the setup, with the antenna, and with the place, with the QTH. QTH is everything.
Yep.
My neighbor, Mike OE4MXB, he lives just 400 meters away from me, and he is up on a hill. He is about maybe 40 meters higher than I am here down in the city. This is the perfect place up there, and there's no chance I can beat him on the way into the Pacific or Hawaii or whatever. He's always stronger. And it's a funny story. I've been on so many places on holiday on this planet, and Mike is always 5'9" or 5'9" plus.
How annoying.
I was on Hawaii, on US mainland, in Asia, or let's say, 8 Quebec 7 Oscar Echo is one of my call signs I used on the Maldives. Mike is always 5'9" plus.
I really, really, really want the QTH like that. That would be so fantastic. I live in the middle of a city, and my next door neighbor, his house starts 7 meters from mine. So it's not really possible to set up an antenna like that here. But yeah,
I live in a row of houses. I live in a row of houses here, and unfortunately, I had one problem back then with one neighbor. Had an interference in his computer speakers, but I bought them a set of new speakers, and since then I have no problems anymore. There was a second neighbor who had a cheap Chinese doorbell from the hardware store, and when I was running a kilowatt or unofficial back then on 12 meters and pointed the antenna to his house, I had
the doorbell rang.
This doorbell to ring every time.
My next door neighbors, if I'm ever on 30 meters with anything more than 15 watts, I turn his amplifier on and off, and the lights in his bathroom starts blinking. So
I fortunately do not. I don't think I bother any of my neighbors. At least they haven't told me. I live in a pretty rural area, so I actually only have one real neighbor, as city people would call it. But he's a nice guy, and I told him to tell me if there's an interference. But I tend to make some interference around the house though. Especially on 6 meters. If I point my beam towards the southwest, my subwoofer in my living room goes fluff, 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 fluff.
I was testing out on 20 meters with just 100 watts on the wire antenna I have outside, and my son, he plays computer games, and he comes down here and giving me an awful evil eye because he was hearing me and not the game in his headphones. That was installed by a toroid winding his headphone cable around it. But yeah, he was not pleased.
I sometimes get some comments from the living room that they can hear me in the speakers.
Yep.
But I can't hear them, so I guess that's not an issue, though.
Sometimes my wife complains when she's down in the living room watching TV, and the satellite dish is mounted below the ultra beam, and on 17 meters running a kilowatt, I turn off the satellite receiver. So I have dropouts. Picture is freezing. When I stop transmitting, the picture is coming back again. But that's only on 17 meters.
Yep, I know LB7VJ, he can start his air fryer on a certain program with FT8 on 17 meters.
That's a nice trick to have.
So I mean, you can actually, if you systemize this, you can actually set up a system of remote controlling your house with this.
Or I can set up a system of remote controlling my neighbors' houses. Using that. Even more fun.
Oh, we did this back then in my CB radio days when we spent nights on CB radio when the band was open in the 90s. We spent hours, and of course we ran the station absolutely legal with no amplifier. And we turned on the lights, turned the lights off and on in the neighborhood.
I've actually heard one guy that was in my club. He managed to get all the Christmas lights to flicker in the rate of a CW.
Yeah,
that would be pretty cool.
Because Christmas lights are usually about 5 meters long, each length.
Yeah, they are resonant.
Yep.
Yeah.
The problem is if the owner of the Christmas lights is able to decode CW, he's going to
know. Now we have him.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can actually do a lot of things, and I think that's part of learning, though. Just figuring out how this works and get around those problems.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe we should continue with the requirements.
Yes, I am so sorry.
I did some notes here for myself.
Go ahead, Jürgen, and I'll see if I can actually
the requirements. I think you have to be not any member of a government or working for a government. That's a no-go. You have to pay the FCC a license fee online these days. Back then, I had to bring the fee to the exam. And you have to register yourself on the FCC webpage. You can find all these things you have to do on the ARRL website. These days, it's a little bit easier, let's say. You can do everything online and also the exam online. So that's much easier. I had to go to Munich 5 hours, 5.5 hours straight. And I spent the night there, and then I did the exam, and then we had to go the way back. What else do you need? Yeah, you then these days you get it. I think via email. I'm not sure if you get the first license to your address. I got this thing here via email. You can print it out, and that's your license. That's all. In Austria, we have this fancy paper licenses, very old school, and yeah, this is everything you got from the FCC. That's your official license. That's the bigger version. There is also a smaller one you can put in your pocket.
But that's the way it is in Norway as well. You get 2 PDFs, one small that you can print out, and then a larger one that you can frame and put on your wall.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think I just got the one PDF. I got my license after you. I can only remember getting one.
I was actually I think I was first round of people that didn't get a nice printed license. You had to print it yourself.
Yep.
So, but I mean, we had a laminator, so I laminated it, and I've only had the use for that once, and that was when the police stopped me doing POTA practically on an international border with a 5-meter whip on top of my car, and then it can be useful to have those papers.
That's a fun video. If you haven't seen it, look at Morten's channel. That's a fun video.
In my CP days, the police stopped me very often. They asked me if the radio is legal. They always look for this sticker on the radio, and I thought, yeah, it's absolutely legal. Have a look. But since I have the amateur radio license, they never asked me about the radio. Never. Also in the USA, they never asked for a license.
No, I've never, except for that, and I probably didn't need my license then. But it was nice to have just to make the row of questions a little bit shorter.
In the US, when I activated not parks back then, but when I was portable there and talked over to friends in Europe, the police came along and they took a look. What's that? And one policeman asked me, "What's that?" I said, "Ham radio," and everything was solved. So, yeah. They know much more about ham radio in the United States than our police or our officials know about ham radio in Austria, especially, or in Europe. So if you say it's ham radio, everything's fine.
It's probably a bit of a bigger thing, but it's been interesting to hear that it's not really that hard though to get a US license. I have been debating with myself either to do this or learn CW, and it looks like I'm not able to learn CW, so I might get a US license instead.
No. You promised. You're not giving up.
I am not giving up.
It's just CW, and you are going on SOTA summits. I have videographic evidence.
You have that until I decide to make that video private.
I'll download it.
but seriously though, I still have the plan of learning CW. I'll just see if I can make a picture like
I had to learn CW for the Austrian license exam to have access to HF, to shortwave. Otherwise, I had only access to VHF, UHF. So you had to do the CW exam to get on shortwave.
Do you still use it, Jürgen, or did you just learn it for the license?
No. It's a shame, I know. I tried it several times, but it's a shame. I need more time. It's very time consuming.
It is, and it takes consistency though, and that's my problem. I've had, let's say, a season that hasn't been consistent enough. But since I am changing jobs now, which was actually what put me off in the first place of being consistent, looks like I'm going to have a lot more normal working hours. So that should probably help me be consistent in a lot of things in the hobby, including CW. So William, I see that you're commenting in the chat here, but I'm not giving up. I'm just extending the period where I will be doing a CW activation.
Yeah, it does take time. I've been on and off. I am very consistent in my CW studies, and the way in which I'm consistent is I'm consistently inconsistent. So, but yeah, I'm getting there. I'm having fun. Looking forward to. I still believe I will be able to make a CW contact within 2024. That's my ambition for CW.
2024 is a doable goal for me, but not by August 2024. That is not a doable goal at the moment.
Nope. But yeah, just to stay off topic, when is the goal for restarting summits on the air? Because that was one of the.
I have actually been thinking about it a couple of times. But there hasn't been a lot of spare time, which is a poor excuse since the nearest summit is about, as the crow flies, about 3 kilometers from home. I have to cross a body of water and an international border to get there, but still.
Yeah, that's and you have an even simpler drive up on this side of the international border. So,
is there? Yeah, in Oslo, you're thinking about?
No, Tremannsrøstet. So drive up. You just drive a car with a bit of ground clearance.
Yes, there might be some. Don't take Bob's advice as legal advice if you're in Norway.
Actually, I should say this. Don't take my advice at all. I spoke to the farmer that owns that road when I got back down, and he wasn't too pleased I was driving up there. So I promised him I wouldn't do that again. And he was really cool about it. He was not yelling, or I don't think he was even angry. He was just wanting to let me know that I shouldn't drive up there when the sign said private. I tried to make the point that it didn't say no entry, but apparently he thought that sign saying private should be enough. So we agreed to disagree on that, and I agreed not to drive up next year. So, but yes, please, Jürgen, let's continue on the topic. I'm sorry. This is what we do on the European Ham Radio Show. We go on wild tangents.
Yeah, there's one last thing about the exam itself. I want to let you know, don't underestimate it. I mean, I had only 8 weeks to learn the complete stuff, but I was already into ham radio. So if you're a completely newbie or a rookie, you haven't heard about ham radio before, I think it will take you more than 8 weeks to study everything. It's not that easy, especially extra class is a class of its own. So that's very hard stuff. So don't underestimate it, but it's absolutely doable. No problem. But you need time.
What would you say is the biggest difference, the most different things you have to learn for the American license, as opposed to the thing that you already have to know for the European license?
This technical stuff is much harder. It's much more in detail than I had to do it for the Austrian license. So not the law, not the actual operation procedure, but the technical stuff. It's really hard.
Oh, all right. That sounds like fun, actually, to dive into. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
So what's the time frame, Bob? When should we get our American licenses?
I'm not committing to anything else, ham radio, before I finish at least 2 of the things I've committed to already.
I'm
selling radios. I'm selling radios on the Morton's Hamfest. So yeah, big changes in my life.
Yeah, and I got a lot of stuff for sale for you, Bob. So if you should be sad of parting for stuff, you can always get new, old, used stuff to play around with.
Not helping. You are.
I don't think you have a 7300, do you?
I have the 705. That's the same thing, and I of course I ordered an amplifier for it, the 60 dBm 100 watt amplifier for the 705. So that makes it a 7300.
That actually makes it better than a 7300.
Yeah, I think it does.
And 45 Auto says that there's a lot of more electronic theory for the extra test than the technician and general tests.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I meant. Thank you, yep. 45.
So, and I guess coming from a country that has one license class, I'm not really sure where this, at least the Norwegian license, compared to the American license. But I know that I am not an electronics guy, and I had a hard time with that with the Norwegian test. So I might have to restudy some stuff.
The biggest difference, I just compared to the license exam in Austria, because we had one last week here. In Austria, you do it in front of a committee. So they ask you questions, and if they see you know the answer, they can help you, and they do help you. But if you do it like the US exam, it's a multiple choice test. Yeah, whether you know it or not.
Yeah,
so that's the biggest difference.
The Norwegian test is also a multiple choice, and you have to correct me if I'm wrong, Morten, but I think that's 50 questions now, and you can have 15 incorrect questions.
I think it's 60 questions actually
60,
now.
Yeah, that is correct. 60 questions. So basically, you can get by with 25 errors, and there's 4 choices for each question. So you can not know a lot of things and still pass the Norwegian test, I would say.
You can, but then again, it's formatted in a way that it's hard to. You can easily choose the wrong answer.
You need 45 correct answers. By just picking the first choice for every question, you will get 15. That's what I'm saying. So it's not really that hard to pass the Norwegian test. This sounds like a lot more work, Jürgen. But it sounds like fun, because it would be fun to revisit some of the things that you learned taking the license. And because I thought everything there was rather interesting, but of course I've forgotten lots of it that I haven't used since. So that would be a fun challenge to do that, to get back into all the things that I've forgotten from the license course that I did.
Yeah, and you tend to forget things pretty fast. The stuff you don't use in the hobby gets on the back burner really fast. So getting another license is also a way of refreshing what you already should know.
Yeah, true.
And Jeff comments here as just on the end here that he knows many US hams memorize the questions and pass the tests. And that's what you get for having a public question pool, though. In Norway, it's not public, so that makes it a little bit harder.
Yeah, as I said at the beginning, that's one of the reasons I did it. Refreshing all this amateur radio technical stuff, especially in English, was challenging, but I'm proud I've done it, and I'm proud of my license. And yeah, to answer the question or the comment of Nemesis 6 here, Austria's test actually seems like, yeah, they are testing your knowledge. Yeah. Last week we had 10 people taking the exam, 1 failed. So even if they help you, but if there's nothing, if there's no answer, they cannot help you. If there's nothing coming back, yeah, how should they help you? It's the problem.
Yeah.
But
really sensible way of testing someone.
You know, if they see you know the answer, but you struggle, then they will help you, of course.
Yep. I know when I did my license exam here, I think we were 15 people taking the test, and 13 out of 15 failed.
That's that is sad, considering you would get 25% correct by just wildly guessing.
But you still fail with 25%.
That is true,
Right.
but my point is you don't need an awful lot of knowledge to get past the 75%. But did we speak on the show about what's probably Norway's youngest ham?
We haven't mentioned that, but that's LBA. What's his call sign again? He's a YouTuber as well. And he's been on the show.
Not the youngest one. He's we're talking about his son.
His son, which is
LB8 Papa India, is it? Was it?
LB8. No, it's not. Is it Papa India? It's
while Morten looks that up, I'll tell the story, because we've had his father on the show, and his son was really interesting in learning about ham radio, and he's 10. And he got a Norwegian ham radio operator's license. I think that's just amazing. I had a QSO with him on a repeater on the day that he got his license, and it was just the pride in his voice and his father's. That was just pretty amazing to see.
But he's been at it for a long time, and he was actually the one that got his father to take his license. And it's his son, Ham Radio Passion, LB8 India Juliet.
Yep.
And that is impressive, though, being 10 years old, I think he is 10 or 11, and getting his license. That is truly amazing, and gives me a little bit of a hope for the younger generation.
Yep.
It's not going to be my kids, but at least someone else's kids decides to become hams.
Yep.
Are your kids interested in ham radio?
Sorry?
Are your kids interested in amateur radio?
Oh, absolutely not. Not at all. Not by any chance.
I've been forcing my son to come along for summits on the air, and I think that put him off completely. He associates now amateur radio with walking up mountains instead of being at home playing Fortnite. So that's not a good association for him.
Yeah, but isn't anything your own dad does uncool by the design, right?
Apparently not for everyone. He's doing something right.
I grew up in a family where we went on summits every Sunday, and that put me off from doing anything outdoors until I was past 40.
Yeah, I have the same thing about outdoor activities in wintertime. I really hated that until I started doing ham radio, and now I have snowshoes and I will walk to summits in 25 below. But
It's amazing what one hobby, what kind of hobbies one hobby leads to.
Yep.
It's just another point where you can spend your money on gear.
Yeah.
But thanks for being on,
Ham
Jürgen.
radio leading to photography and videography and
Yep.
Buying drones and exactly doing YouTube videos if you're unlucky.
Yeah. And thank you for being on, though, Jürgen. It's been a great show, and I hope I hope our viewers learned something, and I know I did for sure. And I am going to start pursuing my way of getting an American license again. And
my pleasure. Thanks for the invitation.
It's been great. You're always welcome, Jürgen. And as a final note, should I get a flex?
yes.
Yes.
Sure. One more radio.
and since you guys are the not the ones that are going to pay for my flex, I am going to think about it for another day. But I think I've made up my decision for a flex. If anyone is interested, I got a 7300 and a lot more gear for sale. On that note, 7-3, guys.
7-3.
7-3.
Bye.
Bye.